So can these blue clone saws really put out the same type of power as an OEM saw? That's what we're going to find out today, so stick around. Welcome back, everyone. So today we got our clone G366, and we got a pretty nice specimen of a 361. And what we're going to do is we're going to swap all the parts off our 366 that we've modified onto our 361. But first we'll get some baseline runs on this totally stock, and then we'll do part by part, swap the air filter, swap the elbow, swap the muffler, and see if we can get this one to match or beat the power of our blue saw. So what do you guys think? Will this OEM 361 just need a muffler mod to beat the power of our blue saw? Let me know. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. But we'll get this one all strapped to the dyno and get some baseline runs with it exactly the way it sits. Bone stock muffler, and let's see what air filter we're working with. We'll blow this air filter off real quick, but this is actually the pleated air filter. I think these filters probably flow a little bit less than the mesh style that. We'll blow this filter out and then we'll get it put on the dyno. Alright, here's our stock baseline runs on our 361. Leave a comment, let me know what you think it's going to put out. 100% bone stock. Alright, here's our bone stock 361, and it was actually making best power with the tune about 13.5, just tickling 14. This one liked to rev out better than what our clone saw was. This green line on our clone saw was the big carb filter mod, muffler mod, empty can, and the filter elbow mod. So that was where this was before our gasket delete. 5.8 horse, 3.49, because I'm not going to have time to get the gasket delete yet. But we're just trying to see. This is exactly where our bone stock 361 came in, 4.74 horse. And this is what we're shooting for. You think we can get it without having to drop the gasket on our OEM? Alright, so now we're going to swap from our stock filter to what I think is a little bit better flowing mesh filter. So that put on there. This is the same exact filter that the G366 runs. So we'll put this on and we'll test the power now. Look at the type of gain we got just by putting a clean mesh air filter on. Almost a full quarter horse right there. But that's what we have right here. That's our stock 361 blue line, red line, just swapping that air filter. And again, our 5.8 horse run with everything but the gasket delete on our clone saw. So we're getting closer. So here's our filter elbows. This is the modified one that we're going to swap on. You can see straight through this one. Slide that on there. Here's the factory one. You see it has to make a 90-degree turn straight up and into the carburetor. This one goes straight through the filter. So we'll get that all bolted up and we'll see how that does. So adding one more line, here's our filter elbow modification. We got it bumped up to 5.3 horse and 3.28 foot-pounds. So we're still closing our gap on the clone saw, but it's still holding out. I was actually surprised. I thought one of these modifications would bump it up a lot closer to that clone. So that clone seems to be making pretty decent power. So now we'll put our muffler on. This is our empty can, no baffles. Just a hole underneath this deflector. And we'll see what kind of power this puts up. So here is our muffler mod, and it overtook where we left off with our clone saw in the same setup. No gasket delete, nothing else. So you can see adding the muffler mod on the OEM was making just a touch more power, 1/10, 0.13 more horse. Now all of these runs here, you could hear it in every pull we did. The high to low transition on this factory carb did not like it. It was not anywhere near as smooth as the high to low transition on our clone saw. But this 361, this OEM 361 really liked to rev out. So we're up just over 0.1 horse and just over 0.1 foot-pounds of torque over our clone saw with the same mods. These two have basically the same modifications, other than we were still running the big carb on this 361. Alright, so we'll get this carb pulled off. This is the stock one. And we'll be installing our larger one. So we'll put our big carb on, see if it can outdo this stock one on our OEM saw. Alright, here's our big carb. Just swapping on the big carb. Pretty much matched where we left off with our gasket delete clone saw. It's super close. We'll have to show that in another graph. So you can see not a super huge jump from the big carb to the elbow mod. Up 0.01 foot-pounds torque. And just over 0.1 horse again. But like I said, baby steps each way. So our big carb, muffler mod, everything pretty much matches our gasket delete. I'll throw that one on here. So here's what we have. This is the big carb muffler mod 361. This is the same exact setup on our clone saw. 5.8 horse, 3.49 foot-pounds versus our 6.06 and 3.62. So we get a decent little bump in power from our clone saw to our OEM. And then our gasket delete just nudges out the horsepower of the OEM, but the OEM still has just a little bit better torque. And you can see our dip that we had in all the other runs and the low transition went away when we swapped over to this larger carb. So that's just something to do with the metering in it. So this is what we have, and it kind of shows the difference, what people were asking, little carb to big carb, and maybe we'll end up doing a gasket delete on our 361. Alright, what's everybody think of that? We swapped everything over to our OEM saw. We did the dyno runs along the way. And, as much as it pains me to say it, our bluesauce.com clone 361 is hanging right in there. This is just simply the amount of power that each one of these engines is putting out. Nothing to say about longevity, durability, any of that. But you really can't argue with the power that they are putting out. It's a copy of an original, and the power level's right there. So let me know. So leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. Like I said, guys at bluesauce.com, take care of you. If you're looking for a clone project to learn how to build, learn how to port, custom firewood, just play with. I'm going to still stick with my gut feeling that for me, I know OEM's the way to go if you want longevity and performance. If you're just learning, want to get into these saw mods, there's nothing wrong with the aftermarket stuff to get your feet wet and experiment with things. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We did everything on this one, and then we swapped it all to the OEM, and the jumps were super similar. So leave a comment, let me know what you guys thought of this one. So soon we'll be taking off our big bore top end, swapping back to our original cylinder. And we're going to start doing some porting. Not 100% sure where I want to start yet. Do we start with gasket matching? Do we open lowers? Do we hog one all the way out? Do we do texture? There's so many different ways we can go with this. And luckily, we have all sorts of spare cylinders, all sorts of spare pistons. So we're definitely going to be trying all sorts of things. But I just need you guys to know these do take quite a bit of time and effort. to it does take quite a bit of time and effort to get all these pulls done, all the data around, and I sure hope you guys are enjoying it. So leave a comment, let me know if you're enjoying this Blue Saw series. Let me know if you're enjoying this clone saw series, and maybe, just maybe, we can do this type of modification on something else. So if you'd like to see kind of a step-by-step mod on a different model of saw, leave a comment with that model of saw. But check out this other video over here. But check out one of these other videos up here. And thanks a lot, everyone.